good to go. Outstanding. So I have to do a stupid intro again, huh? Welcome to Beyond the Mats intro. We have Maria with us today. Actually, I don't have a like a bio on you. Actually, I just know you have a degree or degrees
in something.
Yeah, I just know
I'm some kind of
you went to
professional.
college. You're smart. So, I would say you tell us a little bit about. Well, I guess a quick resume, a quick bio on yourself.
I mean,
just basics. You know, like where you went to school, what degrees do you have, what's your field, like why are we here? Well, we're here because I'll explain that part.
because of a random conversation that we had at a bar.
That was crazy. I have really good ideas sometimes.
It's great.
When I have rum.
When you have rum. Yeah, that happens to me with wine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my name's Maria Rippo, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I received a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from Adams State University, and I also did a master's program in transpersonal psychology before that. We don't need to go into what that is, but I have a lot of education. But more importantly, I have a lot of life experience, and I have a lot of experience going through my own process.
Okay. All right. So I'll do that. We'll explain why we're doing what we're doing. I don't remember. Do you remember what month that was? It was last year. I just can't remember. I was trying to think about it.
I do. I know because I had just signed the lease on the building where my office is that day. That's why we had this conversation.
Okay.
It was at the end of September.
That's when I asked you?
No. When you asked me?
That's when I met you.
So that might be like the end of October, like a month later.
Yeah. That sounds about right. So end of October, I had met you in September.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't, somehow, some way it came out what you do for a living. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then in October, I asked, in between that time, I had an idea. I was like, well, I got an idea. So in October, I had asked you to come train. So I wanted you to come to the gym, and I wanted you to train, and I wanted you to experience everything, the highs, the lows, the ups and downs, the injuries that sometimes happen, right? And
little did I know.
Yeah, then I wanted you to speak on your experience from your own personal experience, but also from your field of expertise, so to speak, as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So when did you start training? Do you remember? It was like almost right away.
I think it was like beginning of November, December, January. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Because I have been avoiding you.
You have. I thought you hated me all this last few months.
Legitimately was not talking to you because I wanted to hear for the first time.
Because I started telling you my insights.
You did.
And you're like, shut up. Don't
fucking tell me.
And then you just quit talking to me.
What?
God, whatever.
You'll be fine. It's okay.
I try not to believe any stories that my mind might make up about things, so it was fine.
Okay. All right. So you've been training, probably solid few months or so.
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
4 months of training. I want to know about it now.
Minus 1 month, but we'll get into that.
That's part of it though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So first thoughts. When I came to you for the idea, I don't know. Like what was you?
So it was so amazing because this was September, and at the end of May last year, I was at my friend's yoga retreat, and her husband was there, and he had his gloves and those pads that you hit. He was wanting each of us to try a Muay Thai session with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, we were all just hanging out during the day, and I was like, sure. And I did it, and I couldn't believe how much I loved it. I just was like, why did I love that? And I came home and I asked my son, who had done some MMA, if I could learn Muay Thai, like some old person like me, like, is this a possibility? And he told me I should go to an MMA gym, and I never did. So I already knew that it's just the timing was so interesting because I already had a little tiny taste and knew that I liked it. So when you asked me, I was just like, yes. And then I probably went home and went, what the hell am I like? I thought I would show up at this gym and it would be like the most intimidating experience with all these super badass, like pro MMA people. Like that was what was in my head, and I was like, "What am I doing? I'm out of shape." And so I learned pretty quickly, just walking in, feeling the intimidation, and having to work through like insecurities and fears. But there was this like welcoming community that I was shocked by.
All right.
I was scared. And all of a sudden, here's Kimberly and I think instinctively, I don't know if but people are walking in here scared. Is that true?
I do know it, but when they walk in, I actually don't think about that at all. It just
Or
escapes my
maybe you
brain.
just sensed it with me because I remember just a lot of language that I don't really hear now. Maybe I just don't hear it, but I remember saying like, I can't get it right. And you're like, we don't say right and wrong here. Like we just mess up and then we learn from getting it wrong or whatever. And I just felt like you were putting my scared nervous system at ease a lot. And I don't know if you do that on purpose or maybe I just looked scared.
No, I do that. I just do that
Yeah.
generally.
I mean, you create a space where people are stepping outside their comfort zone, which is where life happens.
Mm-hmm.
For us to have good mental health, we need to not be just living inside this comfort zone of nothing scary, right? We got to get outside of it. And coming into an MMA gym is definitely getting outside your comfort zone. And I don't know. I've never been to another MMA gym, so I don't know if everywhere is like this, but you have a community here of people that are like welcoming people in with open arms, and that probably has surprised me more than how much I love MMA.
That's good because that was the objective. That is the objective. Something that it's something that's important to me. Super. I don't actually, and also speaking on other MMA gyms, I haven't trained at very many other gyms, and there's good gyms, there's bad gyms, but each gym has a different environment, a different culture, and none of it is good or bad. It's just that's their culture. Some are fight gyms, some are just competitive gyms, some are family gyms, some are McDojos. So I just wanted the purpose of my gym was to just create a community where it didn't matter what walk of life, in shape, not in shape, none of that matters. But everyone's welcome, and everyone helps everyone because that's where the strongest teams are built, is when you forget about what you want and what's important to you and what you're going to get out of it. When you set that aside and you worry and your first concern is the team, those are the badass teams. Those are the successful people. So that's what I'm doing here. That's what I wanted. That's what I've created.
You also said something at one point. I don't know if I just heard it because I would just come home and write down notes. And you said you've had the experience of being not belonged.
Yeah.
And I feel like in order to have the kind of community that you have here, you would have to have experienced that, like to understand how important it is and what people might feel like walking into a new community or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's so anyway, I mean, on the mental like the mental health side of that, um, we have a couple of primal needs as humans. One is for safety and one is for belonging.
Mm. Okay.
And when I think about coming in here, I'm like, you're checking these boxes because you're actually teaching us how to be safe, right?
Yeah. It's important. You need training partners.
You need training partners and
Gotta be safe when you train.
yeah, and well, yeah, but also, I mean, not that I feel after 4 months like I could fight off a bad guy,
Okay.
yet. But it is giving me like this idea that I could learn how to keep myself safe. I mean, I've really walked through life with this sense of like I would just be absolutely screwed if somebody tried to fight me.
Hmm.
Like zero ability to protect myself. It's a scary feeling. So, but also there is this experience not only of kind of building some physical safety, like maybe able to protect yourself, but there's a safety like I think in our society, most people aren't used to physically being so close to another person as you are in jujitsu.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like this, there's also this like emotional, mental safety that comes because, I walk in here, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it sucked to have no idea what I was doing, especially after like a month in. I remember one night, I might have told Kimberly, I was like, I just wanted to cry because I was just so frustrated with being a beginner and like not knowing anything. And the connection piece is that there's all these other people standing in the circle, or maybe you're with your jujitsu partner or your kickboxing partner. And I learned that it was totally safe to be like, I have no idea how to do this. And oftentimes the other person would also say, well, I don't know what I'm doing either. So let's just try. And, and Chris says, just mess up. That's how you're going to learn. And to be able to do that, I think in connection with another person, sometimes in such close connection in this way that we, especially in our culture, are not used to connecting with another human being. That's either going to bring up, it's probably going to bring up a lot for most people of their own, insecurities, of their own discomfort, maybe in their own body, maybe with other people. And yet it gives like, offer a safe place for people to work through those kinds of things. For me, it wasn't scary for some reason, that close connection. I thought maybe it would be really weird, especially the jujitsu. But that's not so much that being closely connected with another person and being able to be like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and still be able to have this connection, not like get kicked out because I'm lame, all the things that my mind is scared of, right? I had to work through. And, but the biggest thing I think for me has been like just working. I need to stop for a second. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I feel like I lost my train of thought there. Hmm.
That's all right. We can circle back
Yeah,
to
I
it.
felt like it was starting to go like, what point am I trying to make? So, I mean, does that feel like a common experience for you where people say that there's a lot that they have to work through to keep going here, or is that not is that more that I'm old and have never done anything like this?
I think that's across the board. Doesn't matter. It I think it's across the board. Um, there's a bunch of things that can play into that where it might not be as intense for some people, but it is super intense for some other people. It just depends, I suppose. But I do. I mean, it's a thing, you
Yeah.
know. And it's funny. Uh, there's a student. I won't name any names. I'll name. I don't care. Fuck that guy. I like him. He's a good dude. So one time, remember Janet? Kimberly, remember Janet? She's coming back this week. Yeah. So one time we were in class, and Jake was, he's a young dude, strong, buff, and we were doing push-ups or something, and Janet is, I don't know how old she is now, but she has MS, and she does nothing that looks clean as far as technique goes. It's just it just is what it is. So we're doing push-ups and hers are horrible. Um and
Like mine.
this is not
Mine are
my
horrible
this isn't
too,
even
so
from my account. This is from Jake because Jake told me this.
okay.
So I didn't see this happen. So don't shoot me. But she's doing whatever she's doing the push-ups, and Jake's struggling, and he looks over at Janet, and she's just persevering. She's just going through it, just doing the best that she can. And so he had like an internal conversation with himself, and he just like, well, if she's gonna do it, she ain't showing me up. I'm gonna do it too. So I don't know. That's the first thing that kind of just popped into my head as far as like the question of do people um have that uh insecure thing, and I bet a lot of them do, but like stated before, once you get in here and you get on the mats, um it's just a good environment to be in for growth. That's
Mhm.
where you find it, right? The uncomfortable section of life is where you grow. So
But
anyway,
it's a supportive place
yeah,
for those insecurities to come up, and if you say it out loud like me, because I'm kind of just an unfiltered verbal person, then you find like, oh, everyone else feels this way too, or at
yeah,
least some other people,
yeah, yeah,
and then yeah, and I think like living outside the comfort zone and facing those things, facing our demons or whatever, is like the only way we're gonna get to really live life,
yeah,
you know? So the other thing that I think is important is like, speaking of living life, is like life happens in the present moment, right? It doesn't happen in the past or the future. Happens right now. And I feel like jujitsu, especially, it's like an active, connected meditation where you have to be right here. Like you can't be somewhere else. You have this partner that's depending on you. You have to be focused. You have to have listened to you um and come back. And then within that present moment where you have to be focusing in order to be able to do what we're doing here, um, you're learning skills. And it only took maybe a couple times of jujitsu where I was like, oh, this is a metaphor for life. Like we're all grappling in different ways, right? I raised
yeah,
4 kids. Like I was like, I've been doing jujitsu my whole life and I didn't even know it because you have to have skills, right? And I love how you say in jujitsu you gave us a few rules. You said keep your arms in, which maybe that's not part of the metaphor for life. But relax and breathe and stay on top.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
if you relax and breathe, you can think and then you can use your skills. And I'm like, God, that's what I tell my clients. Like, it's the same thing. It's just, so I feel like not only are we in here doing MMA, but it is, if we allow it, it's a practice for life. I mean, I think hopefully this whole jujitsu metaphor will sink in more so I could start realizing that when I'm grappling and then wanting to meet force with force, I mean, I'm like a red hot blooded Italian. So I like to meet force with force, and, it never works. It just makes everyone defensive. And so I feel like, as far as like mental health clients, I think of my clients and I'm like, if all my clients would do jujitsu, they would get why we're doing what we're doing in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same
Yeah.
thing, same, but different, Something else that I've thought a lot about is, depression. A lot of people experience depression, and depression can be really challenging to treat as far as treating non-medically. It can be somewhat treated with medication, but it's challenging because depression is like a collapsed kind of state where somebody's lost their motivation. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to like get up and do life. But the most effective treatment for depression, can anyone want to guess?
Community.
Well, that's a good guess. I like that one actually better because I do think actually that's probably true. But exercise.
Oh.
It's like getting up and getting the heart rate up. If we can change the state of the body, get the heart rate up, get the breath going, because they're in this, depression is this collapsed state. Everything's kind of slowed down. So we want to antidote that and speed things up. And I was thinking about how about connected exercise for the treatment of depression. Something that I noticed, and I have no idea why this is, but I get like angry in the winter, so I have to sit under a sun lamp, and it makes all the difference. And this winter, I did not use my sun lamp, and I was like, how am I not? I mean, the only thing I could think is, coming in here, connecting in the evening when it's dark out and the lights are on, even though they're not, like whatever a sun lamp is. But I thought, I don't know. I have no explanation for it except that I noticed it.
All right.
And I actually even went through like really hard experience this winter. And there were times where I was like, I don't want to go. I just feel like I just want to stay home and cry and have a pity party. And I would come and I would be like, oh my God. I mean, this was just a few times, but I was having a hard day a few times. And I came anyway, and I was like, shit, I hope I don't cry. But even if I do, it'll be fine. And what I noticed is I came and I did class, and then I left, and I was like, weird, I'm not even sad anymore.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah, you get out of your head and you just have to be here. And
Well, it's like you said earlier. Once you're training, once you're on the mats, and especially if you're going live, whatever is happening out there, you can't bring it on the mats. You can't.
You can't.
No.
You just have to be right here. There's no other option.
Yeah, you have to be wherever you are.
And I think for people that don't like to meditate, I feel like, I mean, meditation is so good. Just quieting the mind and coming into the present moment. It's the same thing you do in here, except you just don't call it meditation.
We just call it grappling.
But you have to be in your body. I mean, there's just so many positive benefits that I've gotten to experience personally, but that I could see. I mean, I could see why people would maybe feel intimidated. Some people, especially if somebody was like totally depressed, it's not like they're going to be able to maybe just get out of bed and start doing MMA. That might be a really big step. But I think just people, who knows, hopefully some people hearing this will feel like, wow, really? Like anyone could go do it?
Yeah. That's
They could come and do the bad push-ups with me. I'm literally like on my knees and I still can't do them all. Like I have to stop, but I'm like, it's a good practice in just meeting myself where I am and like, okay, just be there.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you'll probably be able to keep doing them just like everyone else.
It's a process.
Well, yeah.
It's the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might be a little bit older than most people here too, so.
No, there's quite a few students your age demographic.
Are there?
Yeah.
I don't really know how old everybody is, but
Yeah.
it is. There's a real age range, physical ability range, size, shape, everything. And I feel like when you walk in, you can see, you realize, oh, it's not going to just be all badass fighters that are staring at me like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah. That would be pretty intimidating.
I think it's a good practice in having beginner's mind too. Like beginner's mind is really important for life in general. Beginner's mind is like where we just approach something as though we don't know anything. And obviously, when you come into MMA, you probably, well, I don't know, you probably have some experienced people come in.
We have had people who have experience come in, good experiences and not so good experiences with them. But I mean, I think for the yeah, I don't know. I can't speak on them because I only see them like one time
Oh,
usually, and then they don't. I don't know. I mean, we've had, gosh, I don't know. Uh, there's a guy, Dang. I love that name. Dang it. Anyways, he's got really, really good boxing. He lives in New York. He comes in. I haven't seen him in a while, but that's a good experience. But when he comes in, he has the beginner mind.
mm.
I've had guys come in, tell me they have like 20 fights and they train out of whatever place, and then they come in and they don't have a beginner's mind. Should always have a beginner's mind, no
And
matter,
why would that be important?
so you can learn,
Right?
right?
So you can be curious and open and
Yeah,
kind of childlike, like you're just exploring and
yeah.
experiencing. And
You're,
then,
yeah, I mean, like you got 20 fights or what, it doesn't matter, 20 years in. Um, when you go into, if I like when I went to Mexico, and you're training at somebody else's gym, that's their home, and you're a guest, so you behave as a guest, right? And then and I was excited about, well, being in Mexico, but I was excited about training there, and I didn't. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn because I'm all over the map now. So, when Gary's teaching, he's a different style of teaching. He has a different style of grappling, and I want to learn those little nuances that he has. Whenever anybody comes in, I've had like JC comes in, and when he teaches uh, the women's class, or if he's teaching firearms, I'm not. I'm actually listening to his verbiage because the way he articulates words, to me, sometimes it resonates with me, and it could possibly be resonating with some of the students. But I want to learn. I always want to learn. I, yeah. And it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, you know, some people come in and they have the beginner's mindset that have trained somewhere else before. And some people come in, they don't have it, and they don't stick around.
hmm,
The environment weeds them out.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions or, I don't know, any other thing that you want to talk about that's like mental health related?
Mental health related.
I mean, mental health, MMA
Yeah.
related. Like, have you ever had anyone, the first night I was in here, and I can't remember who it was. I have my guesses, but we were talking to somebody that you were having the person like explain the schedule to us. And he said that he almost had some panic attacks like in the beginning when he was out there. Have you ever seen something like that happen and have to like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I've seen
okay.
people break,
Okay.
but I, it, and it, I don't. I mean, like I'm not equipped to be dealing with that kind of stuff. I had a student come in one time, and I was everybody that comes in, they're like, "Why are you coming in? How did you hear about us?" Google. I want to get in shape. Okay. And then either I'll ask them then. I'm getting older, so I'm starting to give no fucks left. So
Woohoo!
I'm starting to ask now. Okay, what's the real reason? Why are you really here? And then I get the real answer. One of the girls, I want confidence. I have no confidence, and started breaking down in front of
Mhm.
me in the gym, and I am like, oh shit. So like I'm standing in front of her, like to shield her from the rest of the room. Like okay, and then just I don't even remember what we talked about, but and anyway, she's still training here.
Wow.
So it, I've had over the years, I've had many students come in and have a moment of um I don't know what you want to call it, but a moment like that. But I'm definitely seeing as of recently, it's a lot more prevalent now, and it's a
Hmm.
thing. It's really, really weird because I don't see it from the gate. I don't, but I do see it when we get on the mats and the pressure's applied, and then I start to see that thing come out, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, we have something here that we definitely need to work through. And the only way I know how to do that is on the mats. I don't outside of off the mats. I don't. I. You should not listen to anything I say. It's not good. It's usually immature.
I
Whatever.
believe you.
It's true. It's so bad. Um, but so there's this currently there's this situation going on that I can't really speak on, but it's really cool to be the person on the outside to kind of see it unfold. And we'll end up having these people on the podcast, I think the next one. So we'll see how that works out. But hey, man, as far as mental health goes, it seems to be a thing. And I don't know what mental health encompasses because I could really get going on a rant and I won't. But
Against mental health or what?
no, not against it, but just I guess developing it or something.
Mm. Mm.
I look at generalities like the Americans as a whole, and I'm just as guilty as just as anybody else. But I mean, and I ain't perfect. I don't work out every single day. I don't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go climb Mount Everest like some of these people. Like, good job on them. That's not me. But anyway, so like, I don't really know where I was going. Because I started going off on a rant
You were saying
in
I
my
think
head.
you were
I'm
saying
not.
like people seem to be more fragile or something.
Well, it seems to be
Less
that's
resilient. How about that?
yeah, less
Is that what you were
resilient
going to say?
nowadays. Nowadays, it seems that's kind of a thing that I'm seeing more more prevalent than it used to be. So
And also I think people are there's like less stigma around, like coming in and saying what was the girl I can't
yeah,
remember. I feel
confidence.
I don't have any confidence and then like I mean partly I think our defenses are kind of down because it's like okay to I mean show let those tears come out, or
Yeah,
um
yeah. I've had teenage boys come in and I have anxiety or social anxiety or some other whatever's stuff, right?
well, this is the perfect thing for exposure therapy for anyone with social anxiety.
Yeah.
I actually have some. You know, I walk in and I'll be somewhat shy and kind of, wait for other people to approach me and make sure, it's okay to interact, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to deal with a little bit of that. And I was so happy when people just started, like everyone just starts like, what's this? Do you call that something?
Slap bump.
This and like, I
High
think
fives.
so many of us haven't been in a community that's like wanting to build you up. I feel like a lot of us are used to being in, we grew up, we all went to middle school, we all went to high school, and maybe we weren't, maybe we were bullied or not so accepted or something. I don't know. I think a lot of people just aren't used to walking in somewhere and being welcomed and everyone just wanting them to do well and build them up. And I I think it's an important experience for people to have. And maybe especially right now. People are feeling more isolated. That's another thing with depression is that isolation, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's where
people need
people
a
go down.
safe community to be a part of,
Yeah.
And not like anything's completely safe, but this is a pretty safe place. Like you're going to be seen, you're going to be encouraged, you're going to be met where you are, all the important things.
Yeah.
You're going to get belonged.
That's funny. That's a good one.
Let's get belonged.
You're going to get belonged.
We all need a little more of that. And if you break down and cry on the mat, who cares?
I have cried on the mats. I have cried.
Well, I wanted to
Multiple
cry.
times.
So let's talk about injuries. Let's talk about disappointments that you have
Okay.
to work. You have to work through everything to come in here and do this, but it's so fun and it's so worth it. Yeah, I got an injury and I had to take like a month off, but Chris, in all his wisdom, knew like this would be a bad idea if I just didn't come at all. So you made me bring my journal and sit and like learn stuff
Yeah.
and write it down, and then you'd quiz me.
Was that helpful?
Yeah, it actually
Good.
helped me start. Well, it helped me not, because I know myself. Like, if I had been away for a month, I could easily have just been like, "Oh, I just don't think I really need to go back." Like I could have let it. It was very discouraging to have that injury, and I had to work through a lot of like, just frustration and just get myself to focus on what can I do? What can I do? And so I can come in and learn some words, learn the names of things. And actually, before that happened, I didn't really understand how important it was to learn the names of things. And now I've heard you say it a lot. Like, you guys got to know what this is called. It's a wizard, not a wizard.
This is true.
Undercut, overcut, half guard, full guard. I mean, I got side control. I got some names of things.
All right. Good. Yeah. So that's a pet peeve of mine. People and more often than not, like 90% of the injuries come from outside the gym.
Yeah.
But sometimes they happen in here. You get hurt, whatever, right? And my gripe is get on the mats. You can still learn. If your eyes work and you can take notes, you can still train. It's not what you want to do. You don't get to jump in. You don't, maybe, depending on injuries.
Yeah.
But you can still learn it. And that's the objective, is to be learning. There's almost every single injury is going to be a blessing in disguise. I've had many. I still have them. And I just have to learn to work around them.
It's interesting because I think about that on kind of the more emotional level. I just actually posted something on Facebook yesterday that was like, sometimes the most impactful teacher comes in the form of the most profound pain. And I believe that. And I knew that when I got hurt. I was like, of course I'm thinking, oh, everyone's gonna think I'm a wimp, and then I come in, someone else had an injury and she was still here. And then, I realized it's just part of it.
Yeah. Even Junior got an owie on his shoulder.
Mm.
And it's my pet peeve. It fucking drives me nuts. Like people and sometimes I got a sprained finger. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna be out for like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, it's a fucking finger. You're gonna
come and do
you're
something.
gonna be fine. Like we can
You
work
have your
around
other
it.
arm and your two
And then they
legs.
don't come in. But
Right.
Junior, he got an owie on his shoulder and he still came in. He had a, what do you call this? A sling. He had a sling on. And he still came in and still did stuff. It's not what he wanted to do, not the way he wanted to do it, but he still came in and he still trained. People can do that. You build so much good stuff there. Like you're like, because then when somebody comes in and they're like, I got a sprained thumb, I can't train. And you're like, bro, my shoulder was broken, but I still trained. Man up.
Well, and this is how we can build resilience too, is like, even though I have this limitation, what can I do? What can I still do? Instead of, going down the rabbit hole of despair.
Yeah.
Which can be easy.
It can.
But not fun.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I got back in here full on from that, and then something happened with my knee. I still don't know what.
Yeah, how did you do that again?
Shut up.
I can't remember.
I don't really know, but the conclusion I came to was that I had danced. I had these like pretty high heel boots on at my son's wedding, and I danced in them for like 4 hours. And then the following weekend, I wore them again to some function of my husband had. And then a couple days later, my knee was just super swollen. So that was the only thing I could really think of that might have caused that.
But the cool part is you still trained.
Yeah.
You did rehab on your own?
My doctor gave me this amazing app to do some rehab, and within 2 days, I couldn't believe it. My knee was fine. I'm still doing them because I have bad knees. So yeah, I've really, I feel like it's built a lot of confidence because I've had to work through a lot. I've had to work through a lot to do MMA and to keep coming. Yeah. So I think, mental health is all about becoming resilient and about growth and about really living from the truth of ourselves. And we can't do that when we have all this stuff that's blocking it, like I'm not good enough, or, I'm not confident, or I don't matter, I don't belong, all these things that coming here, you can work through a lot of that. So I'm a believer. I think it's good for mental health.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that people don't, when I tell people I'm doing MMA, like they think I'm getting socked in the face and going to break my nose and stuff like that. And I think that was another thing that was surprising to me, was that even when people are sparring or doing jujitsu here, like nobody's trying to hurt anyone or it's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're in a cage fighting.
No.
At all. And I love that I mean, I don't plan on ever being in any kind of match of any sort. And I can still come and get a good workout.
Yeah.
And get all these benefits that I wouldn't get just going to the gym.
Nope. That doesn't exist there.
And there's kind of an accountability, because like if I don't show up, people are going to notice because it's a community, right? And I might be given a little bit of shit. Nothing mean or whatever. Just, hey, where you been? Or,
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful. It gets me here.
For sure.
So I'm glad that you invited me to do this experiment. I definitely didn't know that I was in for working through all that I've had to work through to do it.
Hmm.
But I like that. My New Year's resolution was to do scary things. So it fit in with my resolution.
All right. Kimberly, you got anything? Normally you have good questions. Yeah, do you want to share the school story? Why it took you so long?
Yeah. Why it took me so long. I was in grad school for 6 years. That's a long time to be in grad school. So my first master's program was in transpersonal counseling psychology. Um, and I went through the whole program, and at the end, right after my dad had died, the head of the school called me and told me that basically there was a big glitch with the accreditation, and that the time that I was going to have to graduate, because you had to graduate in a certain amount of time, that I was going to end up not graduating from an accredited school. And you can't get licensed to be a mental health counselor without a degree from an accredited school. So that was a 3.5 year degree program. And he told me literally I had done the entire program, and then they figured out that I was missing a half credit for some reason. So I had to do this half credit. So I was in the last half credit class. I ended up finishing that just so for myself I could finish the program. And yeah, I had a fit for 4 days. I had to just be mad because anger isn't something that I feel very easily. I feel sad very easily. So I had to just be sad and angry and pound on the floor and just have a total fit. And then once I let all that move through me, I got up and I applied for grad school, and I started the next semester and went 2.5 more years. Yeah. It's kind of just how life is, right? I mean, coming here and doing MMA, it's just a mirror of life. It's a good metaphor.
Yeah. There's a saying that the mats don't lie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like
It's
that.
a true saying. It really is. Like there's just
You can't hide from your stuff when you
no,
get out on that mat.
you cannot. It's I don't know. I'm not smart enough to articulate it, but it's a true thing. It's true. Can't.
Yeah, everything that's preventing you and blocking you from really living fully is going to come out on the mat. And hopefully, hopefully people will have the self-awareness to notice that it's coming up and it needs to get
Mhm.
worked through, addressed, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, right? So it's going to.
The
It
mat
will.
doesn't
It
lie. I
will
love
come
it.
up. It will come out. And as long as you're in a good room full of good people, you'll be able to work through it comfortably, and build and develop that confidence. It's so many stories. So many stories over the years that I have been a part of or I've seen from the outside in, and it's just the coolest thing, I think.
I think it would be so cool to do something. I mean, I think this was part of why I was so excited when you first asked me, is that I think it would be so cool to do something that's combining MMA and mental health counseling somehow.
That's above my pay grade, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it would be, what it would look like, but
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't. When you say that, I think that's the person sitting in the couch while you just take notes. I don't know what that is.
are their eyes closed on the couch?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they
Are they
fell
lying on
asleep.
the couch? Or are
Yeah,
they
when
sitting
you
up?
lie down and you're
Yeah.
like telling your story in the movies, it's in the
I
movies.
know, it is.
It's real. If it's in the movies, it's real.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I
that's
think
what it
you
used
do.
to look like.
Okay. I don't know what they do now. But we should put together the group of your people. Oh, is that off the camera?
I can actually, since you paused it, I'll start in. I'll stop and restart
Oh,
since we already stopped.
that one's still flashing red
That one's
forever.
until the memory is completely out or the battery. Ooh, let me actually see
Take your time.
how much.
We're not on a time
Oh,
crunch.
you still got some.
Every day
Definitely
with
got
you.
more than-
Every day. Every fucking day. We should put together a thing where we could do a workshop with your clients. They'd have to be comfortable with that, I guess. Be a rough decision for them to make. I think it's a good idea. I don't see how.
Yeah. I don't know. It could, yeah, something to think about.
Yeah. Other than that, that's the only idea I got.
I love the idea of people's stuff coming up and then being able to work through it with them somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Like they have to
No,
figure that stuff out.
but you're supportive.
Sure.
I mean, so often it's just like all of that stuff was kind of conditioned in there a lot of times, either in relationship that wasn't supportive or alone. So if somebody's having that experience, but they're just in a supportive place, they're just here and they're allowed to be in that place and they can still belong and be connected. And somebody maybe could just talk to them for a minute,
Yeah.
that can do a lot.
Oh.
It's like a corrective experience,
Yeah.
Their stuff is coming up and they're still like allowed to be their self and belong here and
Yeah.
be a part of it.
All right. So
Just our presence.
basically, I'm a therapist
Basically.
without a degree.
Basically, you're doing therapy here.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, you say so many things. I don't notice it as much now, but I did at the beginning. And I remember you say a lot of things to set people's nervous system at ease. I don't know if you do that on purpose or you're just like that. I have a feeling you're just kind of like that. Or what do you think?
Know. What do I say? I think I say all the wrong things. I don't put my words like more better. That's the thing.
But now we all say more better. It's great.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I don't.
But you'll say things like, if it's available to you, then do this. And if it's not available to you, just don't. I mean, do you know that you say stuff like this?
Yeah, but I say it because I might get flack for this.
Oh, no.
But I don't care. I have pet peeves. I don't talk about all my pet peeves actually, but I have a ton of them. I probably shouldn't. I don't know. Anyways, I don't like it when people teach in absolutes. Drives me nuts. Drives me fucking up the wall. If you do this, then they're going to do this, and then this happens and it works. That's not what? No, that's not a thing. That's not a fucking thing. If you do this, I'm going to punch you in the face. And if I can't punch you, then I'm going to elbow you. And if I can't elbow you, then I'm going to take you down. And if I can't take you down, then I'll throw a knee. And if I can't, like it just fucking escalates. And then while I'm doing that, you're going to be doing all these things. So it's not it. So that's why I say those things, because I can't answer those questions. I'd have no idea if that guy's going to bridge or not bridge. I mean, I can make a good guess, but he probably won't even bridge correctly. And then it's like, well, now we're going to have to deal with this element. So I don't know. That's why I say things like that, because nobody knows,
It puts people at ease though, and it allows for like however it can happen to happen in that moment.
Yeah, and just
where you don't feel pressure, like I have to do it right. Like we all have this, I gotta get it right.
Yeah, just allow the technique to be the technique. And then if you mess it up or they mess up and they move wrong, we'll just adjust in real time. And if we end up giving the wrong answer, it's better than no answer. But if we give the wrong answer, at least we have that information now, and then we can develop from there.
And that's what you always say, like, just try it and do it wrong. Like, we can build on doing it wrong. We just can't build on like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much good stuff just for life. You get a lot of tools for life. If we all could learn this way, I think we'd all be better off. I think most of us learned in this way of like, you have to learn it and you have to get the grade, and it's not about messing up, but actually learning is about messing up. It's how we learn. And so I think most of us have this conditioning around, I got to be good at it and I got to get it right. And it's so stressful. And you come in here and you're like, no, you're not supposed to know anything.
Yeah, just do what you
wrong.
think it's supposed to be, and then we'll fix it. And then, but that's that process too, because, when you first start, come in, do this X, Y, and Z, and then everyone's, even you, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. And then I'm like, well, I'm not going to show you again, because sitting here and just being like, I don't know, just do what you think it's supposed to be. And then people will do it. And they're like that? Did I do it right? I'm like, no, you didn't do it right at all. It looks horrible. But we can fix that horrible. We just can't fix nothing, right? So then, because eventually, at first, it's just mind to body parts, mind to body movement. That's all it is. And then we start cleaning it up. Then you start learning and developing, a more better way of doing the movement. And then the technique. And then somewhere along the way, it's the idea and the concept of it. And how do you apply that and other things and stuff. But yeah, I didn't think of it that way, actually, till you said it, about how, I don't know, because I'm not educated smartly. But, like go to school and do the things at school, and then you get the grades. And I guess it's geared towards, you have to get it right, or you have to do it right. I don't know how to put all that together, and I never really thought about it that way, but I like that. That's pretty cool. You should do everything wrong.
I love that. When I was in yoga teacher training, one of the mantras was dare to suck. Just dare to suck. And it took a lot of courage to suck. We would have to demonstrate different poses or whatever. And so I really came in here with that as part of my mantra, like just dare to suck. It's fine.
Yeah.
And think of how many new things people would try and not be afraid to try if they knew it's fine to just mess it all up.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can figure out how to say that to the general masses, because I think that's important. People come in and they're like, oh, I have to be this or that, or I got to get this right, and they have this personal expectation on them. Like, I did this in college or high school, and I was an athlete. And then they have that, like, because they were good at what they did.
And you have to give all
that. But
like,
you just break them down and you just say, you didn't walk on to whatever sport they were doing. I don't know. But you just didn't walk in there and all of a sudden you were the best at it. You had to work for it. You had to build and develop skill. This is the same, except this is a little different because it's this is kind of like an equalizer. It's the equalizer because it's the equalizer because it's the life thing. That's what it is. Because I've had people come in here and they're athletes, just phenomenal. But
they have to have bigger.
They don't last because they were gifted. They don't put in
and
that
it's
hard
really
work.
hard to not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
Well, those athletes, they'll come in and they're really good, and you show them one thing one time and they fucking hit it and they land it. And you're like, holy fuck! But then they don't have work ethic, they don't have the heart. They because they were gifted and they just have that thing. But that's that life thing.
Then they might be pissed off if they have to partner with a beginner.
Sometimes that happens,
I bet.
But it goes back to the saying when Vitali wants good partners, I was like, then build them, develop them, give of yourself.
Wow.
If you're the only person on the mat that's the best, you're in the wrong room. You should be building everyone up around you. So that way you have good training, because at that point, then you start elevating each other. That I don't know. I don't
And
know.
he
what
does
mindset
that.
is.
I feel like he does that now,
He
like
does.
if we're partners, he has no problem like giving me pointers or whatever and helping me be better. That just went off.
Yeah, that just went off. You broke it. User
No,
error.
the battery still died. I just looked at the wrong percentage. I looked at the memory.
I burped.
You did.
No, I liked it. All right. Are we doing this again?
You guys can do the conclusion.
What were we talking about?
Vitali.
Oh, yeah. We were going on a rant. I went on a rant.
And Vitali's teaching now, so he is elevating. I mean, he teaches sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Elevating everyone through his teaching.
that's good.
Yeah, that was a little that was definitely something I had to work through. I felt that like, oh, they're not gonna want to partner with me, and no, God, I have to partner with them.
Yeah,
Ah!
people think that.
I don't feel it anymore though. So maybe that's me. Maybe I worked through it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more prevalent when we do mitt work.
Yeah.
People think they got to call these really cool combos, but they don't. They just need to call the same one over and over again a bunch of times. They want to make it fun for their partner, which is good. It's not a bad thing. Just that's the thing. Like, people don't understand what level their partners are, like who's where and what. They just see a big gap. Like, if you were training and you were training with Brittany, you guys are on the same level, but Vitali isn't. Maybe people just don't recognize that. I don't know. That might not be like a true statement. In my head, it sounds good because I know what I'm trying to say, but what I'm saying, that's not what's in my head. I just looked that up. What's that? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll wrap it up. Jesus. You don't need to yell at me in front of my friends. There's a clock right there. You make me so mad. What is that? Oh, the clock? Oh, that was a good question. So 24-hour, who made the clock where, like, so it's like 1 to 12?
Oh, the 12-hour?
Yeah. Who made that? Well, I'm just wondering because, anyways, I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was going to Google it, but I forgot. That was yesterday. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't like have a conclusion. Like, thanks for coming on the show. Oh, Jesus.
What's that?
Oh, we haven't done a dad joke in forever.
Oh, where's Tobin? He has dad jokes.
When's he going to start training?
I know.
You say that with like gritting teeth.
I want him to. I'm so mad that he's not doing it.
Tobin, you probably should start training.
Tobin,
look at her
come and
face,
train.
That's angry face. Remember Italian ladies. Crazy. Psycho. Start training. What? Oh, he's got a dad joke. Who's gonna say it?
You have to. I'm not
Me?
the dad.
I'm not. I sold my kid to a band of gypsies. I'm retired. Who's gonna say it? I vote for Kimberly.
I know.
Kimberly Poo Poo Caca Pants is gonna do it. You're gonna be on camera. You want my spot? Here. Okay, and then you gotta say goodbye to everybody. Here you go. That's okay. Your hair looks really good.
It's true.
Look how big this phone is.
just like your hair.
Oh, no way. It unfolds?
I know. It's not my phone. It's Judy's.
I know. Well, I never seen anything like that.
That phone,
Which
It's like
one
an
am I
iPad
doing?
phone.
like if you read stuff and edit stuff,
Yeah.
or you watch a lot.
I
of
don't even need
media,
the headphones.
That phone is perfect, but if you don't
What?
do that, it's practically perfect.
Am I in the? Am I?
Yep, you are in.
What do you call? What do you call a fake noodle?
A fake noodle.
A fake noodle.
I don't know.
An impasta.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys. Bye.
That's it. That's a wrap. Let's go.